I never thought I'd hear from her again. After everything that happened between us, after the betrayal, the lies, the silence, her name flashing on my phone that cold Wednesday evening felt like a ghost tapping on my shoulder. It had been 8 months since our breakup. 8 hollow, raw months. I had tried everything to forget her, moved to a new apartment, blocked her on social media, even switched gyms. And yet there it was. Maya. Her name still had a sting, like a wound that hadn't fully scabbed over. I was sitting in my apartment working late on a design pitch. The heater hummed faintly, barely cutting through the chill seeping in from the drafty window near my desk. My hands froze midair above my keyboard when the screen lit up. Missed call. Maya 1 minute ago. New message. Please. I need to talk to you. It's important. My first reaction wasn't curiosity. It was dread. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours, though it couldn't have been more than a few seconds. My heart thudded against my ribs like it wanted to run away from me. Why now? Why after she left me for someone else? After she cheated on me and lied to my face? Was she suddenly reaching out? I didn't reply. I tossed the phone face down, stood up, and paced the room like I could walk the confusion out of my system. That night, sleep was a stranger. Her message echoed inside me, reverberating like footsteps in a long-forgotten hallway. The next morning, I convinced myself not to care. People don't change. Pain doesn't vanish because someone suddenly decides to talk. I got dressed, grabbed coffee, and headed to work like nothing happened. Normal day. Or, at least I pretended it was. But that illusion cracked when I found something strange waiting for me at my doorstep when I returned that evening. A small envelope. No name, no address. Just a slight weight to it. Too light to be a letter, too heavy to ignore. I picked it up and turned it over in my hands. Inside was a sonogram image. A baby, just forming. A timestamp in the corner, 11 weeks, 2 days. And written on the back, in handwriting I'd never forget. It's not his. It's yours. I stood there in the hallway, my groceries still in hand, as time slowed around me. It felt like someone had ripped the air from my lungs. My knees weakened, but didn't buckle. My mind screamed for logic. What was this? Some twisted joke, but my chest only felt that old ache I thought I'd buried.
I didn't sleep again that night.
The image of that black and white print haunted me. Not because of what it claimed, but because of how a part of me wanted it to be true. Some buried instinct whispered that if it was mine, then maybe everything that had gone wrong could still be undone. But I didn't trust her. Not anymore. Not after what she did. The next morning, I finally messaged her. What are you trying to do, Maya? She replied almost instantly. I need to talk. Please. Just meet me. One time. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no either. Later that night, as I sat in my car outside the diner she suggested, I hesitated for nearly half an hour before walking in. The familiar chime of the doorbell snapped something in me. I scanned the booths until I saw her. Maya. She looked different. Not in the way pregnancy changes someone. No, it was something deeper. Her eyes looked older, as if the months had carved stories into them that I hadn't lived through with her. You came, she whispered, standing up halfway. I nodded stiffly and slid into the booth opposite her. She didn't speak right away, and neither did I. The silence wasn't awkward, it was loaded, like a powder keg between us waiting for one spark. I didn't know how to tell you, she began. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. No, I said, voice flat. It wasn't. I didn't know I was pregnant until after he left, she said, eyes flicking up to meet mine. He thought it was his. But when I did the math, I realized he was wrong. My fingers curled around the glass of water the waitress had set in front of me. You think that's enough? Dropping this in an envelope and expecting me to show up like nothing happened. She flinched. I didn't know what else to do. Maybe don't cheat on someone you claim to love. I didn't, she stopped herself. I made a mistake, okay? A terrible one. But this baby isn't a mistake. I wanted to believe her. God, some part of me wanted that more than anything. But my instincts screamed caution. The truth had always been fluid with Maya, bending to her needs, shaped by her fears. I leaned back and exhaled.
Why now?
Why not just raise the baby with him? She laughed, bitter and sharp.
He's gone. Blocked me.
Said it wasn't his problem. And then I thought of you. I knew I owed you the truth. Even if you hate me. I did hate her. I told myself that. I needed to believe it. But underneath the anger was a deeper fear. What if this was my child? I left the diner that night without giving her an answer.
She didn't chase me.
She just watched me walk away. But when I got home, there was another envelope slid under my door. Inside, a torn page from a journal. My name written over and over again. Alongside it, words that chilled me. He has to know. Before it's too late. I didn't go to work the next day. I couldn't. I sat at the kitchen table with the sonogram photo in one hand and that torn journal page in the other. The coffee I made had gone cold hours ago, untouched. The city buzzed outside my window, unaware that my world had tipped on its axis. I kept asking myself, why now? Why not disappear quietly, as she had before? Why the sudden need to involve me? Why leave the journal page under my door, not hand it to me, but slide it like a secret? The handwriting was definitely hers. I remembered how she used to doodle in her journals at night, sketching stars or scribbling lyrics when she thought I was asleep. Back then, her handwriting felt innocent, romantic. Now, it looked frantic, pressed too hard into the page, like each letter carried weight she couldn't speak aloud. I called my best friend, Liam. He was the only one who saw what I went through when Maya left. He picked up after 2 rings.
Dude, he said.
Tell me you're not actually thinking about getting involved again. She says the baby might be mine. There was a long pause on the line. You've got to be kidding me. I wish I was.
He sighed.
So what? She cheats, vanishes, then shows up pregnant and wants you to play dad now? That's not just bold. It's manipulative. I know, I said. But what if she's telling the truth? Another pause. This one heavier. You're not wrong for wanting to know. But don't go back into that fire without gloves. Get proof. DNA. Don't just take her word. I nodded, even though he couldn't see it.
Yeah.
You're right. After we hung up, I sat in silence for a while. But silence doesn't last long when your thoughts are screaming. I needed answers, not just words. Proof, not promises. So I called Maya. This time, she didn't answer. I waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Just as I was about to hang up and forget this entire nightmare, she texted. Come over.
Please.
I'll tell you everything. Her address was still the same. I hadn't driven that route in months, but my car moved like it remembered every turn. Muscle memory from a life I thought I'd escaped. The door opened before I even knocked. She stood there, barefoot, wrapped in a loose gray hoodie. Her hair was up, her eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. Come in, she said softly. The apartment was dim. Not messy, but there was a weight to the air, like sadness had settled into the walls. A single candle burned on the coffee table. Lavender, and something else I couldn't place. Maybe sandalwood. She gestured for me to sit. I didn't. I want a paternity test. I figured you would, she said. I already made an appointment. Tomorrow morning. At the clinic on 5th. That caught me off guard. I had expected resistance. An argument. Guilt trips. But instead I got preparation. Why go through all this? I asked. Why not just move on? Because I can't, she said. Her voice trembled. Not with this hanging over me. I stared at her, searching for cracks in the performance. But what I saw wasn't acting, it was something else. Desperation. Regret. Maybe even fear. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. There's more you don't know. I crossed my arms. Like what? She hesitated, looked down at her hands, then met my eyes with something I hadn't seen before. Terror. I think someone's watching me. My mind stuttered. What are you talking about? 3 nights ago, I woke up and my door was open. I always lock it. I thought maybe I forgot. But then the next night, someone left something on my porch. What? She stood and walked into the bedroom, returning with a box. Inside were scraps of paper, torn photographs. One was of us, me and her at the lake, years ago. Another was a note in letters cut from a magazine. Lies catch up. So do fathers. My skin prickled. The message didn't make sense. Not exactly, but it felt threatening. Why didn't you call the police? I asked. They said there's nothing they can do unless someone breaks in. I don't have proof. I studied the box again. The pictures. The words. Then I saw something that made my stomach twist. One of the scraps was a photo of me, taken from a distance. It looked recent. I was walking out of my building. They're watching me too, I whispered. Maya nodded, tears filling her eyes. I didn't know what else to do, but come to you. I sat down, finally. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. I thought you cheated, I said. That night. You said you were with someone else. I was, she said. But it wasn't like that. Then explain it. I was scared, she said. I felt something was wrong between us. I thought you didn't love me anymore. So I acted out. It was stupid. I went out with someone. But we didn't sleep together that night. Then after we broke up, weeks later, I stared at her, trying to figure out if she was lying. Again. But something didn't add up. The timing. The fear. The watching. Who was he? I asked. She hesitated. His name was Damon. But he's gone. Ghosted me. Damon what? I don't even know his last name. That's when the final piece clicked into place for me. I remembered a name. From an old message thread she once left open by accident. Damon Cross. I remembered Googling him back then, thinking he was just some harmless guy she went to high school with. But he wasn't harmless. He had an arrest record, petty crimes, a restraining order from a past girlfriend. And now he was gone. After getting involved with Maya. After she turned up pregnant. And now someone was watching both of us. This wasn't just about infidelity anymore. Something was wrong. The next morning came faster than I expected, not because I slept well, but because I barely slept at all. I kept the lights on. I double-checked the locks on my apartment door. Every sound outside made my heart jump. I wasn't just shaken, I was paranoid. I met Maya at the clinic on 5th, just like she said. She was already in the waiting room when I arrived, wearing a black hoodie and sunglasses like she was hiding from someone. Maybe she was. I didn't speak when I sat down next to her. I just stared straight ahead, waiting for the nurse to call our names. The test itself was quick, just a cheek swab for me and a blood draw for Maya. The nurse told us results would be ready in a week. A week. 7 whole days of waiting, wondering, spiraling. As we stepped out into the morning sun, I turned to Maya. What are you going to do in the meantime? She shrugged. Lay low. Stay home. You need better security. Something's not right. She looked at me with those tired, hollow eyes. I know. I offered to walk her home. We didn't say much on the way there, but the silence wasn't awkward. It was heavy, loaded with the weight of things we didn't understand yet. When we reached her door, she paused and looked at me. If something happens to me, she said, promise me you won't stop looking. I blinked. What are you talking about? She didn't answer, just gave me a small, haunted smile and stepped inside, locking the door behind her. That night, I went digging. I pulled out my old laptop and searched everything I could find about Damon Cross. The more I looked, the worse it got. He had lived in 3 different cities in the past 4 years. Evictions. Fights. One ex had accused him of stalking. Another had vanished 2 months after dating him, never officially reported missing, but her social media had gone dark. No activity. No updates. Like she had just disappeared. I tried to tell myself I was overreacting, connecting dots that didn't belong together. But something deep in my gut told me this was real. Dangerous. And Maya had unknowingly walked into something far bigger than a bad rebound. I sent Liam everything I found. A minute later, he replied, Dude, this guy's bad news. You think he's behind the photos and threats? I don't know, I texted back. But I think he wants the kid. Or to hurt Maya. Or both. The next morning, Maya didn't respond to my texts. Not even a read receipt. By noon, I drove to her apartment. When I got there, her front door was wide open. I stepped inside, my heart pounding. "Maya?" I called out. No answer. The place had been ransacked. Cushions tossed, drawers pulled out, papers scattered like a hurricane had hit. But nothing seemed stolen. It wasn't a robbery, it was a search. Someone looking for something specific. I walked slowly through the apartment. In the kitchen, the fridge was still humming. A cup of tea sat half-finished on the counter. It was still warm. She had been here. Not long ago. Then I saw it, her phone. On the floor near the couch, its screen cracked. I picked it up. It was locked, but a message preview lit up on the screen. "Blocked number. I warned you. Now he'll never know." My blood ran cold. I called 911 immediately and told them everything. The dispatcher promised to send officers, but something in their voice told me they didn't understand the urgency. To them, it was just another domestic issue. But to me, it was something else. This felt like the beginning of something much darker. That night, I couldn't stay home. I went to Liam's place. I needed backup. Witnesses. Safety in numbers. "You really think she's been taken?" he asked. "I know it." He paced the room. "Okay. If Damon's involved and if he thinks the kid might be his, maybe this is about control."
Power.
"You said he's a manipulator." "Worse than that," I said. "He's a predator." We stayed up all night digging. I hacked into Maya's cloud account using a password she had once shared with me. Most of it was empty photos, some journal entries. Then I found a video. It was dated just 3 days ago. Maya sat on her bed, her eyes swollen like she had been crying for hours. "If anything happens to me," she said into the camera, "please tell the baby the truth. Tell him his mother tried to fix it." I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't know who Damon really was.
But now,
I think he's watching me. I think he wants to take the baby when he's born. Or worse. My breath caught in my throat. The video ended with her reaching forward, like she was about to say more, but the recording cut off. That was the proof I needed. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. The police came back to me the next morning. They had found Maya's car, parked 2 blocks from her apartment. Unlocked. Her purse was inside. But no signs of struggle. No fingerprints, except hers. "Looks like she left voluntarily," the officer said. "She didn't," I snapped. "Someone took her." But he just scribbled something in his notepad and nodded vaguely, like he had already made up his mind. They weren't going to help. It was up to me now. That night I got a call. "Blocked number." I answered. Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice I didn't recognize. She should have kept her mouth shut. The line went dead. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. This wasn't over. In fact, it was only beginning.
I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't.
That voice on the phone kept echoing in my head. She should have kept her mouth shut. It wasn't just a threat. It was a declaration. Someone had taken her. And now I had to figure out what they were trying so hard to hide. First light broke through Liam's living room window, and I was still staring at my phone screen, playing the voicemail over and over again. Liam came in bleary-eyed, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "You need to report this to the cops," he said. I did. "They're not taking me seriously. Then we do it ourselves." That was all I needed to hear. We split tasks. Liam dug deeper into Damon's background, calling up some contacts he had in real estate and local law enforcement. I focused on Maya's side. I remembered the name of a friend she'd once mentioned, Vanessa, someone she had grown distant from when she started dating Damon. I found Vanessa's number in Maya's cloud backup and called her. To my surprise, she picked up on the first ring. "I was wondering when someone would call," Vanessa said. "No hello. Just straight to the point." Her voice was sharp and tired. "You knew something was wrong, didn't you?" "I tried to warn her," Vanessa whispered. But she wouldn't listen. She kept saying he'd changed, that he was just misunderstood. I even caught him going through her messages once. When I confronted her, she shut me out. "Do you know where she might have gone?" "She wouldn't run. She's too close to delivery." She told me last week she was scared. Said she was getting strange calls. I thought she was being paranoid, but now she was gone. Vanessa gave me something useful, though. She mentioned a cabin one Maya's family used to visit, deep in the woods near Lake Cedar. She'd inherited the keys after her father passed. Said she still had them, but hadn't been there in years. Maya mentioned going there if everything went wrong. I called Liam. Get your keys. We're going to the lake. It was a 3-hour drive. Trees thickened around us the deeper we went into the forest, the road turning from pavement to gravel to dirt. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows between the pines. Finally, we reached a clearing, and there it was. A small wooden cabin, barely visible through the brush. The place looked abandoned. The windows were shuttered, the front porch coated in leaves. We stepped out of the car slowly. I felt like I was walking into a horror film. The door creaked as it opened. Unlocked. Inside, dust clung to every surface. A stale scent of mold and pine needles hung in the air. But then footprints.
Fresh.
In the dust on the floor. And then I saw it. A blanket. A half-eaten apple. A bottle of prenatal vitamins on the table. She's been here, I breathed. We checked every room, calling her name. Nothing. No sign of a struggle, no blood. But clearly, she had been here recently and left in a hurry. Then, in the bedroom, I found her diary. A small, leather-bound book stuffed under the mattress. I flipped to the last page she had written. I feel him watching. Even here in the woods. I try to run, but I think it's too late. He knows. He always knew. If I don't make it, and if you're reading this, the baby is not his. He made me lie. He made me pretend. I didn't know how else to survive. My heart dropped. Damon had manipulated her even further than I imagined. She told the truth. I whispered. The baby isn't his. So, why go through all this trouble? Liam asked. Then the horrible realization hit me. Because if people think it is his, he has a legal claim. If something happens to Maya, he could take the child. We packed the diary and prenatal bottle as evidence. Before leaving, I took a picture of everything. I didn't trust anything anymore, not the police, not the legal system. Only hard proof. As we drove back toward the city, I got a call. Unknown number again. This time, I let it go to voicemail. The message played. You're getting too close. Turn back. Or she won't be the only one who disappears. I saved the voicemail. Forwarded it to my lawyer cousin. I needed a legal safety net. If anything happened to me, someone needed to know what was going on. 3 days passed with no word from Maya. The DNA test results were due any moment. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I haunted the police department every morning. They stopped pretending to take notes. Then, finally, an email. Subject: Paternity results, confidential. I opened the PDF, hands trembling. Paternity, 99.9% match. Father, you. The breath whooshed out of my lungs like I'd been punched. It was mine. All this time. All the chaos. All the lies. It was my child. Liam looked at me. That means Damon's entire story falls apart. He knew it wasn't his, I said. But he wanted everyone else to believe it was. So when she vanished, he could swoop in. Play the grieving father. Liam's jaw clenched. We need to find her.
Now.
That night, I made a post. A public one. I uploaded the voicemail, the diary page, the police report, everything I had. Caption: My ex is missing. She was pregnant with my child. This man, Damon Cross, wants you to think he's the father. He's not. If anything happens to her, this is who you look at. It went viral in hours. People were furious.
Disgusted.
Women came forward with their own stories about Damon. Stories of abuse, gaslighting, disappearances. Suddenly, the cops couldn't ignore it anymore. A week later, they issued a warrant. But by then, it might have been too late. They issued the warrant, but Damon had vanished. His apartment? Empty. His office? Cleared out. Surveillance footage showed him loading 2 large duffel bags into the trunk of a black SUV, leaving late at night. No plates. No trace. Maya was still missing. And now, with the DNA results confirmed, it wasn't just about finding her, it was about saving her. That man was running with a plan, and I was done waiting. Liam, always a step ahead, managed to tap into a back channel of his old security firm. He pulled something big, a burner phone that had pinged near the Lake Cedar cabin 2 days after we were there. Someone had returned. But why would he go back? I asked. To clean up, Liam muttered. To erase something. Or someone. We called the local sheriff's department with the info, but they said they'd look into it. That wasn't enough. We drove back, faster this time, straight through the night, fueled by nothing but fear and caffeine. The cabin was still, moonlight casting long silver beams across the clearing. We stepped out of the car slowly. Every creak of the forest made my pulse race. Inside, things had changed. The vitamins were gone. The blanket folded. The diary missing. But something else was there. Drag marks in the dust, leading to the cellar door. Liam and I exchanged a look. I grabbed the tire iron from the trunk and handed him a flashlight. We opened the door. The stairs groaned as we descended into the dark. It was freezing, damp, the air thick with mildew. The smell hit first, earthy, decaying. Something that didn't belong. In the corner beneath a tarp, we found it. A mattress, shackles, and blood. Not much. Just enough to make my skin crawl. Jesus Christ, Liam whispered. He kept her here. But where is she now? Then we heard it. A soft thud. From behind the wall. We moved toward it, following the sound. The wall looked solid, until Liam tapped and found the hollow panel. It took both of us to pry it open. Behind it was a woman. Emaciated. Eyes wild. Lips cracked. Maya. She collapsed into my arms, whispering my name, sobbing, trembling. Her wrists were bruised, her ankles raw from rope. I held her like the world was breaking around us. You found me, she breathed. I thought I was going to die here. We called 911. The sheriff showed up within 20 minutes, stunned to find the missing woman they'd dismissed for weeks. She was rushed to the hospital. I rode with her, not letting go of her hand for a second. At the ER, doctors worked fast. She was dehydrated, weak, but alive. The baby, our baby, was holding on strong. Liam stayed behind with the cops, walking them through the cabin, giving them everything we had. Damon hadn't just manipulated her. He'd imprisoned her, starved her, and tried to make the world believe she'd simply run away. But Maya, God, Maya, she fought. Every day. She left clues. She scratched messages into the wood. She hung on until we came. When she woke later, I sat by her bedside. Her voice was barely above a whisper. He said if I made it to the due date, he'd take the baby and leave me in that hole. Said no one would care, that you wouldn't come. Tears streamed down my face. I'm here, and I'm never letting either of you go again. The media caught fire. My viral post had ignited a storm, and now with Maya found and evidence collected, Damon was a fugitive. A manhunt was underway, but no one could find him. Until 1 week later, he slipped up. A traffic cam in Kansas flagged a black SUV registered under a shell company. FBI followed the trail. Found a SUV in a motel parking lot outside Wichita. Inside, they found Damon.
Dead.
Gunshot wound to the head. No sign of struggle. Just a note. If I can't have the life I built, no one can. She was mine. They all were. Self-inflicted. Cowards exit. When they told us, Maya went silent for a long time. Not a tear. Not a word. Just staring out the hospital window. It's over, I said gently. She looked at me, voice hollow. It'll never be over. He took pieces of me I'll never get back. I held her hand. But you're still here. You fought for those pieces. You held on. And now you're free. Maya was discharged a few days later. She came home with me. We repainted the guest room. Set up a crib. She still flinched at sudden noises, still checked the locks 3 times a night, but little by little, she smiled more. One afternoon, we sat together on the porch, watching the sunset. Her belly had grown, round and beautiful. She looked at me. Do you think he'll be like him? I shook my head.
No.
He'll be nothing like him. Because he'll be raised with love, with truth, with safety. She leaned against me. Promise. I swear it. 1 month later, our son was born. Healthy.
Loud.
Full of life. We named him Malachi. It means messenger. A symbol that light still exists after darkness. That love can survive even the cruelest winter. As I held him in my arms, I looked at Maya, my Maya, the woman who had been through hell and clawed her way back to the light, and I knew one thing for certain. She was never just the girl who disappeared. She was a survivor, a mother, a warrior, and together, we'd rewrite everything Damon tried to destroy. 6 months passed. The seasons shifted from summer to fall, and with it came a quiet peace we hadn't known in years. Our home, once a place of worry and search maps, now echoed with baby laughter and the scent of fresh coffee instead of fear. Maya was healing, slowly, and I was witnessing the rebirth of a woman who had every right to give up, but chose not to. We were different now. Stronger, quieter, more intentional. Each night, after putting Malachi to sleep, we sat together on the back porch. No more phones. No news. Just silence and stars. I used to dream of this, she told me one night, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. A normal moment. A quiet one. Where no one's looking for me. Where I'm not surviving. I'm just here. You're more than just here, I said, pulling her close. You're alive. And you're safe. The case made national headlines. Once Damon's body was found and the full scope of his crimes exposed, the internet that once doubted Maya turned furious. Documentaries, exposés, interviews, we were offered it all. But Maya declined every one. They didn't believe me when it mattered, she said. I don't need their applause now. Instead, we created something real. A fund in Maya's name, dedicated to helping victims of psychological abuse and digital manipulation. It started small, a GoFundMe, a local campaign. But as survivors came forward, the movement swelled. Maya found purpose in listening. She attended support groups, not as a victim but as a guide. The woman who was once silenced now spoke for those still trapped. And they listened. One day, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a single sentence, handwritten on ivory paper. You saved her. But how many haven't been? It was chilling. But it was also true. Damon hadn't just hurt Maya, he'd practiced. Refined his tactics. There were likely others before her. Possibly even those who never made it out. And though he was gone, his methods weren't. People like him still roamed the world. Charming, manipulative, patient. That's what made them dangerous. So, we doubled down. We began workshops. Liam helped build a digital safety curriculum, teaching families how to spot the signs of coercion masked as love, how to trace footprints online, how to believe women when their stories seemed too strange. Truth is, the world doesn't like inconvenient truths. It prefers clean villains and tidy endings. But real evil is patient, smart, and it wears a kind face. One afternoon, Maya pulled out the last journal she'd kept during her captivity. She hadn't touched it since the rescue.
She handed it to me.
I want you to read it. I hesitated. Are you sure? She nodded. I opened to the first page. Her handwriting was shaky, faint, scrawled across yellowed paper. If anyone finds this, I'm Maya. I was taken. He says no one is looking. But if you're reading this, please tell them I never stopped trying. I couldn't finish the rest. My eyes blurred. You kept fighting, I said, voice hoarse. Because I had to believe someone still remembered me, she whispered. And I had. Every single day. Malachi's first birthday arrived in spring. We threw a small party, just close friends, neighbors, and Liam, who is now officially Uncle Liam in our household. Maya made the cake herself. Vanilla with cream cheese frosting. She even let Malachi destroy the first slice with his tiny hands, frosting smeared across his nose. It was the kind of joy that didn't need words. It just was. Later that evening, as we cleaned up, Maya looked at me with a tearful smile. I never thought I'd get to see this. Be this. You made this, I reminded her. This joy, it's yours. No one can take that away. She looked out the window, where Malachi was chasing bubbles in the yard. I used to think survival was the end of the story. But now I know, it's just the beginning. That summer, we planted a garden. We dug deep, dirt under our nails, planting tomatoes, basil, and lavender. Maya chose everything. She said it was symbolic, planting roots, watching life grow from scratch. Each sprout that broke through the soil felt like a silent celebration. Of life. Of second chances. Of defiance. Because every petal bloomed in a world that once tried to bury her. Eventually, we did share our story, but on our terms. A written memoir, told in both our voices. Titled, She Was Never Missing, A Love Story in Shadows. We self-published. No PR stunts. Just truth, chapter by chapter. It became a quiet bestseller. Not because it was flashy, but because it was honest.
Raw.
A reflection of thousands of untold stories where women disappear not just from cities, but from belief.
From faith.
From memory. Maya wrote the final chapter. I was taken.
Hidden.
Forgotten by many. But I never forgot myself. To the girls still waiting in the dark, I see you. You are not invisible. You are not crazy. You are not alone. Today, the world knows Maya not as a missing person, but as a force. A mother. A warrior. A voice for the silenced. And as for me, I wake up every day in gratitude. Not because we defeated a monster, but because we chose to keep living afterward. To build, to heal, to love without walls. Maya still flinches sometimes. The past lingers like smoke. But now, she's not running from it. She walks through it, chin high, baby on her hip, truth on her lips. If you ever find yourself doubting someone's story, stop. Listen. Because behind every viral post, every thread of crazy, every whispered claim that seems too wild to be true, there might be a Maya. And someone's life may depend on you not looking away.